Originally, when I started coaching in the divorce space, I was working only with women. I now work, since the last 12 months, more and more with the masculine. And the reason why is because the masculine has a slower emotional processing speed. It doesn't make them less than when you compare them to the feminine, just simply that their strengths are different to women. And when it comes to something like a marriage ending, their slower emotional processing speed all of a sudden is to their detriment and catches up with them. It is a cliche, but it is so often true that a woman is processing the end of her marriage for many years in her head, long before she ever truly conveys it. And often a woman can leave in her head and have simply not have left with their feet for many, many years. And I see this played out routinely where, yes, maybe the masculine experienced a shade of this too, but actually if they went through it, the feminine went through it long before they did, and they weren't even aware of it. This slower emotional processing speed that you see with the masculine really gives them a sense of having a lid on things. They believe that they can fix it. They often believe that she would never leave me, and they believe that their efforts, whether half-hearted or half-assed or not real effort at all, is enough to keep her there. And I'm not saying that the masculine has more of an ego. We all have an ego. It is healthy to have an ego. But certainly the masculine has a tougher, denser, egoic shield. They believe themselves to be often more in control and all over the situation than they actually are. And this is especially true if the feminine has checked out in the marriage and simply hasn't left yet. Maybe she hasn't left because of financial fears, or she likes the lifestyle, or she hasn't left because she doesn't want to break up a family. There can be a myriad of reasons why the feminine can emotionally check out and even wish she could leave the marriage but still doesn't. And for the masculine, that gives them a false sense of being in control and having a lid on things. So when a marriage ends, rather than having a slow awakening and processing like the feminine has been through, the masculine is now hit in the ego, and it is a swift, sharp awakening that goes to the core of their egoic being, because they start to realize that they never really had a lid on things, that things were not how they believed it to be or even how they seemed. They're often caught off guard. They can then feel deeply resentful, deeply unappreciated, deeply played, deeply manipulated, and it can make them very anti-relationships, anti the feminine, especially being vulnerable, the idea of being in love again, in being in a relationship again, because they have a mistrust of the feminine. And sometimes this is warranted. Sometimes the feminine has not actually conveyed to the masculine what she was really thinking or feeling. She has repressed it. And so while she may have said some things, she never truly conveyed to the masculine just how unhappy she was, and that she would have liked to have left if she could. Now, this may have been self-protective for whatever reason, dependent on her own unique situation, the dynamics of the marriage. But what it does to the masculine is make them really feel like they were clueless. And so this is why men can start to feel like they were played for money, lied to, manipulated. And this is not me making an excuse for the masculine, because I know that if a woman is strong, if a woman has repressed how she really feels on the inside, then that generally speaks to a masculine not properly showing up in a marriage, not being the container emotionally, not being present emotionally. A strong woman exists only because the marriage required her to be strong to survive it. A happy woman who doesn't need to be strong, that's because she is in a happy relationship. It doesn't require her strength because the masculine is bringing the strength in the container. So I'm not saying that I don't see the faults within the masculine to have created created a dynamic where a woman can feel emotionally neglected and has had to step into that more strong masculine energy to survive the marriage. But what it does mean is the masculine is slower to process their emotions. This is my belief why men also suicide more, have more risk of depression after a marriage ends, because the wake up is so swift and straight to the chest. It is like everything crumbles and towers at once, whereas the feminine has gone through the processing and the crumbling and the acceptance of a marriage being over for many years, often well before the masculine ever caught on to there being dynamics in the marriage that were perhaps not ideal. And so I do coach men. You can visit my website, carladacosta.com. You will see a specific coaching container there for men to work with me. I don't do once-off sessions. If you've been married for 10, 15 plus years, I can't help you in one session. It's going to require a series of sessions together to work together to help you heal your heart, move on, understand how you co-created the dynamic, not to find fault, but so that you can understand why your marriage was the way it was, how you helped co-create it, how the faults were within you as well as within the feminine, and how to not fear love again. Remember, love and relationships are the cornerstone to a healthy, happy life. Not superficial connections, but an actual relationship that is love, that is beautiful, and that is long lasting. It brings out the best in humans. While I work in the divorce space, I actually am more of a healer of hearts, and whether that is the feminine or the masculine, the beauty for me when I sit between you both is that I can see both sides. I can see how both have co-created, both contributed to their story, and it helps me work with both sexes actually in a really constructive, positive way to help you move forward with your life, having closed out a chapter, learned and evolved and ascended out of what you needed to evolve out of, so that you can be a better human in your next chapter of life and ideally in your next relationship.